It's your son's pencil drawings on the back of your laptop. This is my decoration this week. My son got a hold of a
I can't
pencil.
see. Can you hold it closer to the camera? It's beautiful. What an artist. When NFT?
Ooh, that's a good question. Somebody screenshot that, NFT it. Yeah, this is no stickers. Just have your son get a pen. He actually wrote on the inside of my laptop too, so there's pencil all between the keyboard. It won't come off. It won't come off. So,
Well, when he gets a little bit older, he's going to switch to Sharpie.
well, we got on the ultra washable markers. That's been our morning activity this week. Is markers on a wide open canvas. It's fun. He can't draw for shit though. It looks terrible, but we tell him it looks good. We tell him it looks good. It makes him happy. Sup Freaks is right. Welcome back to Rabbit Hole Recap. What a week. We're here a little early today. I've got to head to Houston for the Bitcoin meetup in Houston, and that is a 3-hour drive from Austin, where I'm sitting now in the new Bitcoin Commons studio. Matt,
Is Car going with you?
I don't believe so. Car, you're not going to Houston tonight?
We got a lot of Club Lab stuff.
Yeah, Carbs. Look, guys, Car's got pleb lab stuff.
Yeah, we could hear him.
I thought I said car. I almost said carb. I was combining car and pleb. Yeah. So I'll be making that round trip. We're here in the Bitcoin Commons. The energy is high here. We've got these nice chairs. What do you think of the chairs?
I dig the chairs. I have similar chairs in front of my fireplace.
Yeah. Well, you need to get that. Like, we're classing it up. No more like computer chairs. Let's get the leather chairs.
This chair is so comfortable.
Maybe we should be recording in front of your fireplace as well.
It's not really like a good. I've thought about it.
Okay.
I've considered it, freaks.
Okay.
I will continue to consider it.
All right.
I have a studio here too. I just
Get the bits over sats off the screen, Car. I don't want to see that shit.
I'm gonna start. There's like real shit going on, and people are just having a stupid argument about bits. It's just not even gonna
Talk about it.
like use what you want to use. People can use what they want to use.
Yeah, this is.
It's just a waste of time.
Yeah, it is. You have free will. I'm guilty for appeasing the stupid Car. No more of the sats or bit stuff. There is serious stuff to talk about. A lot going on. We're currently sitting at $36,085 according to Clack's dashboard. I can't speak today as usual. One cuckbuck's going to get you 2,771 sats. The current market cap of Bitcoin is 683.5 billion cuckbucks. We are currently at block height 720,632. The difficulty adjustment happened between last week and this week. We had an upward difficulty adjustment of 9.3%, which took us to a new difficulty all-time high of 26.6 trillion. We are currently
Twitch has bits integrated.
Why? I thought we weren't talking about this.
They have.
I thought we weren't talking about you. You're going to interrupt me while I'm going through the dashboard talking about the all-time high difficulty.
They have a.
And now
they
you're
have
going
a shitcoin. They have an integrated token called Bits on Twitch. It's like their Fortnite V-Bucks.
Yeah. So anybody pushing bits is a shitcoiner.
The dumbest argument to me is sats aren't. They're too small of a denomination. Like that is just you're just being way too bearish if that's your concern. Just like lower your time preference a little bit.
Please, very very high time preference. Thinking that sats are too.
Sorry for interrupting you. I was just reading the chat and there's a lot of bits for sats.
Like look at you reading the chat. All these bits are shitcoiners. Funnily enough, before you interrupted me, we were 1,096 blocks away from the next difficulty retarget, but now we're only 1,095 blocks away. There was a block mind between the first time I started reading this and the second time.
New difficulty all-time high.
New difficulty all-time high. We're estimated to have the next retarget on February 3rd, the day after Groundhog's Day, which has no significance. Is probably one of the worst holidays, if you even consider it a holiday.
Is Groundhog's Day always February 2nd?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or is it like the first Tuesday of February or something?
Yeah. stop bringing, Car, you got to stop bringing up the comments in the middle of the, like, I can't answer these questions right now.
How'd you know Groundhog's Day when Groundhog's Day was?
I'm from Pennsylvania, and it's a big Pennsylvania holiday.
It's a big holiday in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Punxsutawney Phil. That's where it happens in Pennsylvania. Maybe that's why. I never knew. I thought everybody was just very aware of Groundhog's Day.
You just you said it so confidently.
Yeah, because I know it's February 2nd every year.
The Bent family is super excited for Groundhog's Day.
No,
2022.
we hate it. But if you do go to Penn State, it's actually like when you're junior, senior. Apparently, it's a fun trip. I believe my wife did it once. I know a couple of my cousins have made it. You do the drive overnight from college town, wherever Penn State is, to where Punxsutawney Phil lives.
Really unique name they came up with. That's actually the name of the town.
I don't think I forget what it is.
You think they workshopped that, or that was just the first one they came up with?
Probably. But enough about this stupid groundhog. He'll come out. He probably won't see a shadow. We'll have 6 more weeks of winter. And then we'll have a difficulty retarget the next day if everything remains somewhat static between now and then. And as of right now, that difficulty retarget is estimated to be a negative 3.5% downward adjustment, and that is because blocks are coming in at 10 minutes and 22 seconds on average since the last retarget, which was less than 1,000 blocks ago, 989 blocks ago.
You think there's an alternate history where Bitcoin's difficulty adjustment was based on whether or not a groundhog saw its shadow?
I hope so. I think that would be a funny alternate reality. My wife's texting me. She went to Penn State. It's State College. She's very angry at me right now.
Wait. The town name is State College?
Yes.
That's even worse.
It's like the State College is in that Penn State, Pennsylvania State University, State College.
But when you're writing out the address, you're if you're just for dorm or something, you put the dormitory Penn State, comma State College, Pennsylvania zip code. What the fuck?
Yeah. Hey, Pennsylvania, the Dutch are very, very simple people. Dutch Quakers, just all right, what are we doing here? Shout out to William Penn. Pennsylvania, Penn's Woods. We're learning something new every week on Rabbit Hole Recap.
Like when Groundhog Day is.
Samurai Whirlpool has 4,412.59 Bitcoins in unspent capacity. That is 159.7 billion cuck bucks worth of liquidity or unspent value.
Everyone focused on bits versus sats when the real argument should be Bitcoins versus Bitcoin.
Yeah. We're fighting the real fight here on RHR. Man, I have been embroiled in a battle for quite some time. But as we mentioned, there's some pretty heavy...
objectively wrong.
There's some pretty heavy shit going on right now. We're getting another... the way Coin Center describes it, ostensibly a must-pass bill in the America Competes Act of 2022.
Honestly, who could be against a bill named America Competes?
America Competes.
Are you anti-competition, Marty? Are you anti-America?
I just don't think America should be competing. This is why I'm against this bill. We should not be competing. We should just be sitting on the sidelines watching everybody else in the competition. Let's just cheer everybody on while they compete. These bills just get worse and worse. Do you not want to build back better? Are you not for the Build Back Better Act?
Yeah, how could you be against that? Who doesn't want to build back better?
I didn't even know we had to build back. I thought we had everything built. Why do we need to build back?
I base all of my legislative support on the naming schemes of the bills.
Yes, the CARES Act.
That's why I love the Patriot Act. It was really great for our country.
It's patriotic. We just patriotic. If you love having your civil liberties ripped from under you and being thrust into a dragnet surveillance system, yeah, it's patriotic as hell. It's the Patriot Act. What about the CARES Act? They care about you. They're going to get you health care. It's going to be affordable. But if you decide not to pay for it, they're going to fine you if you're 24. They care about you. It's the CARES Act. Now we're here. America needs to compete. And apparently on page 1,482 of this bill, so this bill is at least almost 1,500 pages long, probably significantly longer. As you can see it there, 2,912 pages.
Yeah, I doubt it was on the last page.
Yeah, 2,912 pages of a bill on page.
Oh, so that's perfect. It's like right in the center.
Yes, page 1,482.
Is car scrolling to the page right now?
Just go to see where the numbers are going. 48. Just go click.
No,
click and put in there.
Manually scroll. Manually scroll. It's
there we go.
Effect.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. It's distracting, car. It's distracting. It's not seriously.
But by the time you wouldn't get to the page until the end of the episode.
Well, they had the page in the Coin Center article. You don't even need to go in here. The obviously the bill has something snuck in it that is going to affect Bitcoin exchanges or anybody associated with Bitcoin and quote unquote.
Period.
Yeah. So basically, if this bill gets passed in its current form, this section here would allow the Treasury to basically highlight anything they want and deem it as something that they don't want to happen, so they can freeze your account essentially and say, hey, no, you're not allowed to transact.
But they can do bigger than freeze an account, right? Like they can just stop a regulated business from doing those transactions, period, across the board.
Yes.
And the key thing is there's no oversight, no notice, no public input.
None.
So they can just do it at will, any type of transaction. So it could be if the U.S. Treasury, after this bill, wants to stop, Marty from trading seashells on the street corner, they'd be legally able to do that as well.
Yes. It's pretty fucked up.
Because that's what Marty does right before Groundhog's Day. He likes to trade seashells.
I sell seashells by the seashore.
By the street corner.
So this, as it pertains to Bitcoin, the way Coin Center described it, like if the Treasury, for any reason, deems that a mining pool, the Czech Republic, let's just say a mining pool by the name of Slush, disclaimer, Brain sponsors the podcast, if they were to mine a block that included transactions that the Treasury deemed to be like money laundering, then anything associated with that block, which would be the rest of the network, anybody trying to send transactions that build on that block would have to shut down their services. So this is a pretty invasive clause that would basically make it impossible to transact on centralized exchanges. What do we learn from this? What's the lesson we're taking from here? Get your coins off exchanges. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges. Number one. And then number two, what were you going to say, Matt?
I mean, I don't think it's exchange specific.
No, Luxor and Marapool, like all these.
Right, but obviously, I mean, the mining angle is obviously at risk as well. But also, I imagine, if you're running a non-custodial wallet or something, and it's using a centralized server, then potentially, even if it's not custodial, right? Like something like Blue Wallet or Moon or something, I think they can. It's very vague, broad language. They can just prohibit transactions.
Yes, maybe something like Unchained's collaborative custody model. They can go after that as well if they deem.
Yeah, exactly. Which is not custodial, but presumably, if they wanted to, and like of course the argument is they're not going to, is what they say, right? But just the fact that they have this power, or they will have this power, is not good for our country, is not good for Americans. Unfortunately, I would say that it does seem so inevitable, doesn't it, Marty?
Yeah, it's
like, I mean, if they don't get this one passed, then there'll be another one. It's just like constant.
Yes, and I mean, this goes in line with something I've been talking about all week in regards to the Financial Action Task Force. And I don't know if you saw, CoinDesk reached out to me. I could say this who it was now because they wrote the article, asking me to comment on the efforts by the industry to comply with the Financial Action Task Force's travel rule. In my comment back, I said, so ostensibly, I believe this Compete Act clause is an attempt to prevent money laundering or financial crimes. And similarly with the Financial Action Task Force and their guidelines that just so happen to get implemented as regulations across the world with little pushback. They really don't do anything to actually prevent financial crimes like money laundering from happening. They just, like we've said many times on this podcast, they just put innocent law-abiding citizens at risk and increase the burden for companies to comply. They increase cost and administrative work necessary to comply with these onerous.
It reduces competition,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Because small startups can't afford it, but the Coinbases of the world with massive legal teams, it's not a big cost for them.
No, it creates huge compliance moats for these companies that are already massive and able to comply.
Did CoinDesk actually put a quote in the?
They did.
What quote did they use of yours in there?
I got demonic into Coinbase or CoinDesk, excuse me.
Did they use the demonic quote?
They did. They did.
Wow.
Shout out to Mark Hockenstein and the author of that particular article, who is not my DMs. He emailed me. Let me get the name right. Brett Stapper, or that's Brett Stapper. Fuck you. That is some shitcoiner reaching out to get their CEO on the podcast.
Poor Brett.
Fuck you, Brett. Rob. His name is Rob. Rob Garver. Rob Garver wrote the article. But again, as you can see from last night's bent, these financial regulations that are claiming to prevent money laundering don't do it. They just make us all less safe by forcing these companies to collect our personal identifying information and secure it in insecure databases typically. And it really doesn't do anything to stop the anti-money laundering. If they really wanted to do that, Jeffrey Epstein wouldn't be able to have had a bank account at Deutsche Bank where he laundered hundreds of thousands of dollars after getting released from prison for sexually abusing minors. The criminals get away with it because the banks are filled with criminals themselves who allow individuals to skate the regulations. We saw this again with Deutsche Bank and Jeffrey Epstein. We've seen it with HSBC and the Mexican drug cartels. Like it's compliance for you, but not for me at that level. And I think
go on.
With as it pertains to companies in the space trying to comply with the travel rule, or what's going on now with the Competes Act and how that will affect the industry, it's time for civil and corporate disobedience. It's time to stand up, strong men and women, to say this is bullshit. This doesn't make anybody safer. It's going to prevent innovation. It's going to prevent people from actually doing innovative things and moving humanity forward into the digital age. It's only going to protect massive incumbents who are providing shitty services and allowing terrible things to happen in the background. Like, we need to make civil disobedience a thing again at the civil level, at the individual level, and at the corporate level. We need people in the industry. I've said this a few times on this podcast, but I will reiterate it again now, to begin standing up and saying, fuck you. I'm not going to, take it to the point where you get your bank account shut down. We need the Canadian trucker, the convoy in Canada, being applied to the financial regulations that are coming out. They're up there protesting the mandates, the vaccine mandates, and they're doing an incredible job. We need to take our financial privacy and freedom seriously, not only here in the United States, but across the world, and begin protesting this stuff with civil disobedience. And the most effective way to do that is to take control of your Bitcoin, control it in a wallet that you control. You have the private public key pair, and then send peer-to-peer transactions and tell them to fuck off. This is where we need to go. You need to normalize holding your own keys and sending transactions in a peer-to-peer fashion, which is going to take some work. You're going to have to learn how to do it. You're going to have to learn how to spin up a full node if you want to do it completely right. But the first step you could take is taking control of your Bitcoin in a wallet that you control that cannot be censored by a third party, like a centralized exchange.
And if that sounds too difficult, you can always just shitpost about Sats versus Bits on Twitter.
Yes.
I would just add, obviously everyone should hold their own keys. No, I would add that you mentioned some good examples of where the banks are complicit in facilitating money laundering, but there's also a key aspect here because I think a lot of people would argue, there's a lot of people that are on the pro-compliance side that would argue, well, that means we just need stricter compliance measures. And the reality is there's a lot of situations where criminals are able to get around KYC AML laws because they're using hacked or purchased KYC information from otherwise law-abiding users. So they get around it. The criminals aren't actually complying with the KYC information. So it really only hurts law-abiding, honest users.
Yes. It's completely that. I mean, it's been proven time and time again that these invasive KYC AML regulations don't work. They make us individuals less safe. The criminals keep committing financial crimes. They keep figuring out ways to do it. A dedicated and motivated criminal is going to figure out a way to follow through with the crime that they want to do. And then on top of this, so this all stems from the Bank Secrecy Act. And so this is the provision that is getting snuck into this America Competes Act of 2022. We're going to compete. We're going to compete. What they leverage is a specific clause in the Bank Secrecy Act. They're using a loose reading of the language included in the Bank Secrecy Act to enable this type of overarching encroachment on civil liberties via
That's
this
another
act.
good name.
Yeah, the Bank Secrecy Act.
Which is like the exact opposite of banks having secrecy.
Exactly.
One interesting aspect of the Bank Secrecy Act, which we've touched on before on this show, I've touched on Dispatch a bunch, is the Bank Secrecy Act basically has a carve out of the Fourth Amendment, which is that Americans unreasonable search and seizure. You're protected constitutionally from unreasonable search and seizure that's why warrants exist. In the Bank Secrecy Act, there's a carve out that basically says if you provide this information to a third party, you're not under the expectation of having privacy in that situation. So it's a carve out so the Fourth Amendment doesn't protect you. So this is one of the reasons why I think there's a very strong argument that if you're using your own node and holding your own keys, and the using your own node part is key because all of a sudden you're not trusting a third party with your transaction information. But if you are using someone else's node, if you're using Blue Wallet or Moon, and you're not using it with your own node, then you're basically, even though you're not giving them custody of your funds, you're pinging their server to look up your transactions and your balances. So I feel like that carve out could still apply in that situation, but doesn't apply if you're actually using your own node. Now, I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I have no intention of fighting this in the courts, but I do think that's an interesting, at least for American Bitcoiners, that's an interesting aspect that I think should be explored more.
That's a very good point. You run your own full node, figure out how to do it. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
There's plenty
Easier than ever.
Easier than ever. There's plenty of wallets out there that make it easy to connect to your full node. Sparrow, Spectre. There's a bunch of shit out there that make it very easy. Bitcoin Core, you can use their wallet if you want to. Zeus, Ride the Lightning. On top of that, I think it's the tools are there. They're getting better, but use them. But we should also highlight we need to abolish the Bank Secrecy Act. We need to abolish the Financial Action Task Force. We need to hold the people in Washington at the Treasury accountable. These people are fucking evil, number one. And number two, again, we don't live in a free country. They're trying to be extremely invasive. And
they should come out with a new bill. Do we even live in a free country anymore?
Yes.
Bill.
A prop vote. Do we live in a free country? Yes or no?
4,000 page bill.
But in the Bank Secrecy Act, it was, again, around 1971. I think it might have been 1971.
What the fuck happened in 1971?
When it was written into law. This is a part of going off the gold standard or lumped in with that era of completely fucking up our monetary and financial system. It is becoming a dragnet surveillance system, again, that does not help anybody. It does not prevent financial crime. It actually harms individuals more than it helps them. We need to drive this home, and we need to stop letting these kleptocrats in Washington keep clawing and clawing and clawing our civil liberties. And again, they do it with these cutely named bills. The Patriot Act. You're patriotic, right? Let us just peep your metadata.
Once again, if this just sounds too overwhelming to you, you can just bend over and comply.
Yeah, just bend over. We'll actually send out free lube. Okay, that's one thing we'll do to help you facilitate new merch drop. TFTC lube line for those who want to get pegged by the U.S. government. Stand up and fight. It's time. Like, not physically, but obviously not physically. We're a peaceful podcast here. But stand up and say this is bullshit. Like, that's the other thing. Like, these people are supposed to work for us. We're the taxpayers. We pay their salaries. They are supposed to have our best interests in mind. They don't, though. They've been completely co-opted by a banking and technocratic system that does not care about you. It cares about control. Financial Action Task Force does not care about protecting you from financial crimes. They want to make your life harder so that they can control you, so that the elites can get their way. The Davos class can do whatever they want. They don't want competition. They don't like you useless. What's the term that I believe it was George Soros calls the plebs? I think he calls them useless eaters, is how these people think of you. They think you are useless eaters that are just taking up space in the world that they want to control. They do not care about you. They do not give a fuck about you. And they're making your life considerably worse off. Suicides are at all-time highs. Overdoses are at all-time highs. People are as unhealthy as they've ever been in human history. And this is all... Difficulty adjustment is happening. The difficulty is at all-time high. However,
difficulty target.
Again, and this is all a product of these overarching policies that have been enacted over the last century, you could argue, but more specifically the last 5 decades, since the 70s. They've only made humanity more depressed, less wealthy on an individual basis. There's more wealth overall, but it's being concentrated into the Davos class because they control the rules and they leverage the canteen effect, and you're losing your rights by the day. And this America Competes Act is just trying to take more and more of that. You do not live in a free country. Wake the fuck up.
I hope the next bill is called "We Care About You" bill.
Yeah. Well, they already had the CARES Act.
I know, but I like "We Care About You" bill better.
Hey, we care about you. But seriously, take control of your Bitcoin. Run your own full node. I really like that point.
Use your own node.
Use your own node, like, and have it. Maybe that is the like constitutional, like, silver bullet. Like, you can't do a shit. Like, I'm not using a third party.
Fourth, and like tangentially second.
Yeah, the right to bear nodes. It's your right. It's software. Bitcoin is speech. At the end of the day, it is just code, numbers and letters.
If you're just tuning in to Rabbit Hole Recap now, just a quick TLDR: Groundhog Day is on February 2nd.
Yes. Prepare yourselves. Punxsutawney Phil is going to be surrounded by a bunch of people who have come into town from State College, Pennsylvania, and are trying to see whether or not he's going to see his shadow. It's the weirdest tradition of all time. All right. Next topic. Robinhood is starting the rollout of Bitcoin withdrawals. I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, I got to give credit where credit's due. I did not think this was going to actually happen. I thought they were just virtue signaling.
Props where props are due. Do we have confirmation that anybody has actually sent sats off of Robinhood and into a personal wallet?
That would require someone admitting to me that they're actually using Robinhood to buy Bitcoin, which they shouldn't do.
No, you should not. I mean, Robinhood, we very famously last year with the whole Wall Street Bet saga with GameStop, AMC, and other stocks that the Wall Street Bets Reddit group was trying to short squeeze. I mean, Robinhood shut that down pretty aggressively. So an example of a centralized third party not allowing you to do what you want to do. And Robinhood, I wouldn't trust them after.
No,
after
definitely.
That.
I mean, Robinhood can go fuck themselves, but the point remains that they are one of the most popular places to buy Bitcoin, and it's really good to see that they're actually allowing you to take possession of your Bitcoin instead of keeping it as an IOU on their platform. So
yes,
very, very happy to see it. And yeah, I did not expect it. Did not expect it to happen.
Neither did I. If you are an individual using Robinhood and you successfully take sats off of Robinhood into your own possession, please let us know. I would like to see an example in the wild, some confirmation there that is actually happening.
Yeah, and if you listen to this show on your Alexa, also let us know. In either situation, you're dead to us.
Do you have that on the list? I don't think you had that on the list. That
What?
was crazy. I mean, the girl downloading her
Oh no, I don't have that on the list.
Alexa audio
I just know that
files.
both this show and Dispatch are available on Alexa, and I wonder like what kind of masochist listens to us talk about the privacy issues on their own wiretap, but there's got to be a dozen of them.
At least, maybe dozens. I'm getting text right now that Robinhood is also joining the Coinbase-led travel rule planning group. Don't forget about that. Coinbase is leading a travel rule planning group.
We don't have on the list Treasury implementing the Swiss travel rule integration.
Yeah, what's going on there? I saw Adam, aka Denver Bitcoin, tweeting about this. I did not. That's all I saw was that one screenshot I took. I couldn't really flesh out what was going on.
The Swiss government went above and beyond on FATFA's travel rule proposal. So like FATFA's unelected bureaucrats, they provide proposals out to the world and all their member countries, which is like pretty much, the overwhelming majority of the world. And then those member countries go and implement their quote unquote suggestions. They're not really suggestions, but that's how they frame it. In Switzerland, they went above and beyond on the travel rule. And they're requiring all Bitcoin services to have you sign a message with your receive address when you withdraw from them. So if you're withdrawing to your Bitcoin address, Bitcoin has this way to cryptographically verify that it is your address and you have control. You can sign a message with it. So you can put any text you want in that message. Usually what happens in this type of verification process is they say put ID number 4732 or whatever, like a generated number or something like that, a unique piece of information from the exchange. You go and you sign the message with your address, you with that exact unique identifier, so they know it's and that way they can know it's you, or I guess presumably it could be a friend or something, but they know that you're actively in control of that address. Now, Trezor, I guess I don't have a Trezor, but it seems they made that signing process easier.
Lie. You talked about your
What?
Trezor a couple weeks ago.
I mean, like I don't actively use a Trezor. I have like six. That Trezor I talked about was the one that's still in the box that I travel with. I have not used Trezor software because it's built into Trezor's like web wallet, not web wallet, whatever I think they have desktop software now.
They have a Trezor suite is what they call it, I believe.
Yeah, so I think in there now there's like probably a button that says, comply with this bullshit regulation.
Do you have to hit it? Do they prevent you from signing transactions?
Well, like you can't withdraw from a Swiss service unless you sign an address.
Okay.
So I don't really know if it's kind of questionable that they're implementing they're using a third-party company to do it.
Yeah, it's called 21 Satoshi or something like that, or 21 Analytics.
Which is like it's a surveillance company, right? So they're integrating with a third-party company, but I don't know if there's a lot of complaints that people can throw at Trezor. I don't know if this is one of them. Like the Swiss brokerages are requiring it. So if you're a user of one of those services, you're good. You either don't use the service or you're going to have to sign a message anyway.
Yeah. So Adam, aka at Denver Bitcoin on Twitter, if you're not following, go follow him. Great mining follow and overall follow. At 21 Analytics is the company helping them, and he believes it's a Chinese company from what he can tell. So
there you go, even worse. Yeah, I don't know. Like this is a problem with KYC and using KYC services. It's a problem with regulators regulating those KYC services. I don't know if necessarily. I mean, I guess I don't really think hardware wallets should necessarily make it easier, but I also don't know if they shouldn't. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if Trezor's the team to blame on it. Yeah, this is coming from someone who's like an outspoken, threats of KYC person.
Yeah, I haven't thought about this particular topic long enough to make an informed comment that can add value to you freaks. I'll just say it's like, yeah, again, it's all fucked up. These regulations are stupid. They're not helping anybody. It's time to get angry. If you're not angry, get angry. They're trying to cattle herd you into a digital panopticon where they know everything you fucking do. They're trying to eliminate privacy from humanity. It's time to tell them there's more of us than there are of them. It's a very, 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 very small amount of people at high places in political offices that are making these decisions. In unelected positions with the Financial Action Task Force. This is inhumane. It is inhumane that they are doing this to billions of individuals around the world. We should not put up with it. We should call them out. Pull up the picture of Marcus Plyer, please, from last night. Look at this stock image looking motherfucker. Do you think he actually cares about you? Do you think this guy cares about your safety? We're going to see him soon. We're going to pull him up here in seconds. There he is. Look at this motherfucker. Look at him. Do you think he cares about you? Do you think he's like actually like a genuine human being?
It's just a picture, Marty.
But look at him, Matt. A picture says 1,000 words. Have you ever heard that saying before? Look at this guy. Look at his.
You can attack it. You can attack what he does, but like
he's dead inside. No, physiognomy is real. Physiognomy is real. Zoom out, car. Zoom out. Okay. Not that. Physiognomy is real. Look at this guy. He's an evil lizard. He's a demonic evil lizard.
Okay. Really quality argument.
I guess that was my Marty Jones impression.
Just to go back to the topic, two things. First of all, if you like look at it from Treasurer's point of view, they're probably getting a ton of support emails and requests from people that are using Swiss exchanges that don't know how to sign a message. So I could see that being one of the reasons they want to integrate. And the other thing is, my understanding is the Bitbox hardware wallet that Shift Crypto puts out already has similar integration. I don't know if they're using this third-party Chinese service. It seems like the third-party Chinese service is the worst aspect of this, and it seems unnecessary. I don't know why they would use that when you can just natively sign messages.
Yeah,
but Bitbox does have, if I recall correctly, Bitbox has like a feature that complies with this travel rule in Switzerland.
Swiss, man, they were supposed to be like,
and they're a Swiss company too, right? Shift Crypto.
Isn't Swiss supposed to be like the creme de la creme of financial privacy? Like, isn't that why people?
Yeah, they made all their money hiding the Nazis' money.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? It's all fucked, dude. It's all fucked, freaks. Just trying to make you aware, to educate you, so you can go out there, get angry, and hopefully call this stuff out. And you can civilly disobey by using Bitcoin the correct way. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. This is the value prop that Bitcoin brings the world. It is a peer-to-peer distributed cash system. Like, they can't stop you from doing this. If you use it in the correct way, if you acquire sats in a peer-to-peer fashion, and you hold your private key, and you check your transactions with the full node, there's literally nothing that they can do to stop you from signing and broadcasting a transaction. You do not have to listen to anything that the Swiss government wants you to do, that the Federal Reserve wants you to do, that the Treasury wants you to do, that the Chinese Communist Party wants you to do. If you use Bitcoin the right way, all of these suggestions and these rules and these laws and these compliance and regulations are useless. They can't.
Marty makes a good point there, but 98% of Bitcoiners aren't using it that way.
Well, when push comes to shove, you're gonna wish you did. Start now. What is your saying, Matt? It's better to be early. You're gonna wish you did this now. When push comes to shove, it's gonna be too late. That's
exactly.
not gonna be good for you.
You don't want to start trying to figure this shit out when you actually need to.
Yes. Start now. Start now. Maybe you start 9. That's a good note in the box there with other privacy preserving tools as well. Disclaimer: 1031's invested in start 9. The next topic on the list is a great way to take control of your Bitcoin is a cold card. Cold Card just announced the pre-sales on MK4s, which is their next iteration of their hardware wallet. Is this the one that's going to have NFC compatibility?
It has NFC. It has USB-C, which I'm very excited about. So it's like one of the last devices that still uses micro USB for me.
Bigger RAM for multi-sig. That's big.
Yeah. The NFC is cool because what that means is you can use it with like a mobile wallet like Blue Wallet. And to sign the transaction, all you have to do is just tap it to the back of your phone. Now, some people might be concerned that NFC opens up. That was a combination of NVK and NFC. Some people might be concerned that NFC opens up additional attack vectors. You can actually physically disable the NFC by scratching off the NFC part,
Yes.
which is a cool aspect of it, in my opinion.
Very cool aspect. I mean, Rodolfo and crew at CoinKite.
So there's 50% off on this because it's a pre-sale with an undetermined date. So, Cold Card CoinKite is a bootstrapped company. They've never taken any outside investment.
Hold up. $40 off. $40 off.
Oh, it wasn't 50% off?
No, that would be $75. Only $40.
Okay, well, $40 off. He's funding his first run of them through the pre-sale. So you don't really know when you're going to get them. But yeah, this is promising. I already think the Cold Card MK3 is the best hardware wallet on the market. This has some common sense upgrades, and the NFC specifically, I'm very excited about.
Yes. Rodolfo, good friend of the show, making incredible products. I will be buying this pre-sale. CoinKite has proven that they can deliver. Though Rodolfo will be the first one to tell you that the supply chains are all fucked in the world. But I think
we don't know when they're shipping.
Yeah, but
to answer Tyler's question in the chat.
They're very proactive at CoinKite of front-running supply chain issues. We wanted to mention this last week, but didn't. Staying with CoinKite car, if you go back to that page and you go to the bottom, the SATS card was announced. This looks pretty cool.
2 products. There's 2 separate cards. There's a SATS card and there's the tap signer.
How would you describe these products to the freaks?
So the SATS card is the idea is to use it similar to an open dime. It has a bit different trust properties, trust trade-offs than the open dime, but it's cheaper and has NFC. So once again, you can tap it onto a phone to redeem. The tap signer, so that's like an open dime. So that's more for in-person transactions. You literally take your SATS card and you pass it off to the other person. You load it up with 1 million sats and you pass it off to the other person when you're buying seashells from them. The tap signer is a very cheap NFC-based reusable hardware wallet that can be used in a multi-sig or a single sig. So you can imagine a situation where like you have a cold card, a tap signer, and a seed signer, and you're using it with Blue Wallet on your phone. And so you use the seed signer, you scan the QR code, you construct the PSBT, you sign it with that one signature, and then you can either tap your tap signer onto the back of your phone to add the second signature, or you can tap your cold card on. So it adds a very cheap signing device that has NFC support. Neither of those have shipping dates yet. I do have some questions of how exactly everything's being implemented and the different trade-offs there. So I already talked to NVK. Like I will be getting one of the first batches of it, and we'll talk about it more.
Oh, lucky you! Well, I
actually have it in hand because I can't. It's hard to comprehend what the trade-off model is without actually having it in hand.
Rodolfo,
but I'm very excited about it. It's pretty cool.
So is it just like tapping and then reloading sats? Is that what it is?
What was the question?
Car's asking if you just tap and reload sats.
No. So the tapping is for the communication with the phone, right? So this is very similar to what with the tap signer. It's very similar to what Block, formerly Square, is working on with their open source hardware wallet, which is the idea of a very cheap hardware wallet without a screen that uses NFC because you can just tap it onto a back of a mobile phone, or I think the iPhone you have to tap it to the top wherever you pay with Apple Pay, and so the major trade-off, the most obvious trade-off, is you don't have a screen on it. And because you don't have a screen on it, that means you're trusting what you see on the mobile phone or computer, what the address is being shown and what the information is being shown. You can't verify it on the device. So one key aspect of the cold cards, of the seed signers, of the treasures, of the ledgers is that you can verify on the actual dedicated device that all the information adds up. The result, though, by taking this different trade-off balance is you get a way cheaper, lightweight device that doesn't need a battery because it's NFC. So the but what makes this really interesting to me is so it can be used as like a cheap single sig or even a multi-sig where your phone holds one key and that holds the second. So it's just a bump up in the security model of using a mobile phone, which is what most people are probably going to do anyways, just use a mobile wallet like Blue Wallet or Moon or something. But also it is really fucking cool to me that you can use it in a multi-sig situation. So you can make it just one key. If you make it like one key of a 3 of 5, the fact that you can't necessarily verify it on the device itself because it doesn't have a screen that doesn't matter as much because you can verify it on the other 2 devices that signed, right?
Yeah, this is really cool. This would be extremely cool if it actually works. Rodolfo,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting them in my hands.
Thanks for offering to get one of my hands, Rodolfo. Here's some product placement for you. It's your block clock mini. We'll just rip that off next week.
Just remove the block clock. It's not coming back up there. But anyway, it's going to be a while. These are going to take. It seems like these are going to take longer to ship as well. Like there's no specific ship date. So we'll see. We'll keep you updated, freaks.
We'll keep you updated. And
also the Open Dime isn't going anywhere. The Sats card is like a complimentary product with different trade-offs than the Open Dime, and it's cheaper. But the Open Dime will still be available, which is fantastic because I love the Open Dime.
The Open Dime should never go away. It's an incredible product. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's a cool, hey, let me teach you about Bitcoin product, and don't ever get rid of it. Matt is talking to somebody off screen. He is muted. We are going to go to the next topic, which we've already mentioned. Bitcoin mining difficulty hits a new all-time high. We can go to insights.brains.com to check out what's going on. Hash rate hit an all-time high earlier this week, too, according to insights.brains.com, of 203 exahash a second. As you can see, the light blue line, if you're watching the live stream or on any of the video platforms that this is being syndicated on, the light blue line is the difficulty. And as you can see there, it has reached an all-time high of 26,643,185,256,535. The price is falling, so this will be interesting to see. Obviously, difficulty going up, price falling means that you have
miners getting fucked.
Yeah, difficulty going up, unless you're plugging in more miners as that's going up, you're losing a percentage of the overall hash rate, and therefore your sat stream is falling. Again, if you're not plugging in more miners to keep your overall,
or getting new firmware,
as well. I guess Rob Hamilton had a comment about the S19 Brains update. There has been a new Brains update, a firmware update earlier this week that added some new S19 models to the list. If you listened to the ad before this, you probably heard what models they are. I don't have them off the top of my head right away.
But you need the SD card port, right? And like, don't some of the S19s don't have an SD card port? It's like what I saw from Joe Rogers on Twitter.
We shall see.
It's like not obvious. Like he has multiple S19s, and some of them don't have it, and some of them do, and it's not clear by the serial number or anything.
Yeah, if anybody at Brains is listening to this and wants to clarify what's going on right now or after the show, would love to get some clarification.
Just don't join Marty in the studio; he might shoe you.
Shoo. I mean, we're not bringing up Shoegate. We're not. I would never shoe the good people at Brains. Actually, Edward Evenson is going to be in town.
He only leaves that for Ben's.
Yes, Edward Evenson's going to be in town in a couple months. We're going to record. He's very excited about the leather shares. Speaking of mining pools and content, had an incredible episode with Alex Brammer from Luxor yesterday. We touched on mining obviously and talked about it a lot, but I just think that conversation was extremely lively and interesting. It was one of the most interesting conversations I've had in a while, particularly as it pertains to the geopolitical situation of the world at this current moment in the United States empire's attempt to nation build across the world. It's a lot of nuance. And he was a West Point graduate and an officer in the Army, has a very interesting perspective on all that stuff and why he thinks Bitcoin is extremely hopeful as we get into the digital age. But back to difficulty adjustment. it's at an all-time high. Excuse me, the difficulty target is harder to mine. A lot of miners out there plugging in machines still. Again, we touched over 200 exahash earlier this week, according to insights.brains.com. Again, hash rate estimates vary depending on the trailing time scale that you're looking at.
Marty, 300 exahash by end of year.
Easily.
Over under.
Come on. It's definitely over two. I think over. I mean, if these XPs get delivered.
I think over too.
These XPs get delivered. And I do think there's.
Come on. I love the immediate instant reaction.
There's going to be a lot of power capacity coming on here in the United States specifically, maybe even more specifically here in Texas, that a lot of miners are waiting for. And then once that happens, I'm hearing that there's going to be an automatic turning on of a bunch of miners. So be aware of that. You should see some pretty massive hash rate growth and therefore difficulty growth. Slush pool, have you been following? I mean, they've been mining a lot of blocks this week. Their pool luck has been high.
Yes, it's true.
It's one thing I noticed this week. Slush pool has been mining a shit ton of blocks. If you go down on insights.brains.com, you can get a look at the pool layout right now. Foundries in first, AMP pools in second, F2 pools in third, pool in fourth, via Bitcoin, or via BTC, excuse me, via BTC, however you pronounce it, fifth, Binance in sixth, Slush pool in seventh.
How big is CK pool? The one that is doing the solo mining.
Oh, let's talk about that. I can't believe you don't have that on the list. I'm not sure how big that is.
I just put it on the list.
I don't think, see, since it's a solo mining pool, I don't think they would be advertising.
No, it's still. I mean, there's a little bit of confusion here, right? Because natively in the Bitcoin protocol, without a pool, you can solo mine. But what CK pool is doing is it's just like a typical mining pool, but instead of so you're still relying on a third-party centralized pool provider, but instead of doling out rewards based proportionally on how much work you did, they just give it to whichever one of their participants in their pool found the specific block. They get the full reward.
Well, found the hash, right? That allows you to mine the block.
Right. So what is go to ckpool.com, car. What is they're definitely reporting their hash. Or what is it? I hate this website, but they have good btc.com.
Ha! You're confirming. I do like btc.com.
Well, because they do the real time, they do the trusted hash rate measurement, which is just what the pool reports.
Keep going down.
Is CK pool
down.
there?
Go up. Right there. KuCoin, Mara,
fucking Bcash nonsense.
One Tash. No, it's not in the top 15 at least.
Because they've now found 3 blocks.
Well, so that's the thing. Especially when you consider the one miner was using these USB sticks that produce something like 86
Okay,
terahash.
here it is. I DuckDuckGo'd it. DuckDuckGoosed it. btc.com/stats/pool/solo-ck. Where's their hash rate? I don't know how to read this website. Share of blocks 0.02%.
That's a minuscule amount of hash rate.
Hash rate NA.
Yeah. So share of blocks is what you'll have to use. But regardless of how much hash rate they have, I don't really care about that. What is the probability of three solo miners mining block, especially that last one? The last one is really interesting because the dude had 86 terahash.
Yeah, like the block eruptors, right? Like the USB.
Yeah, like 8 USB miners. And the fact that we had 3 in 1 week, Arbed Out had an interesting tweet about this, cryptic tweet, but a tweet nonetheless. Like one is like a lottery ticket, 2 is a coincidence, and 3 is something is going on. Like, do you think something's going on with this? Do you think it was an anomaly?
It feels like advertising for CK Pool. Now, that's why I wanted to know what their hash was. CK Pool also has the non-solo pool. What is the hash rate of their non-solo pool?
I don't know. We're not going to find it. It's not.
I'm about to find it. Oh. Wow, that's like non-existent too.
Yeah.
it seems a little bit suspicious. It seems like a way to attract miners or people to sign up for their pool. I don't. Yeah.
So here's the Arbed Out tweet. He tweeted out an Ian Fleming quote: "Once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, three times is enemy action." Obviously, we respect Arbed Out here at TFTC. He's a good friend of the show and an incredibly bright mind in the space. And so that's what I want. Like, what is like?
We'll
What is
listen
the
to our Christmas special with him or Halloween.
Halloween?
Groundhog's Day? No, Halloween.
But like, what is the probability? That's like, is something going on? That's weird. I don't know.
No, well, the weirder thing is that they have such low hash. Like if they were
exactly,
if they had 20% of the hash, then it doesn't really matter which individual miner inside the pool found it. Right? Like probability wise.
Yes. So that's the thing. Like the
But
probability.
They don't even have that much hash, and they found 3 blocks.
Well, it's not even CK pool. Just like again, this USB miner had something like 86 terahash in total. Not even 86.
How many USB miners do you need to get that kind of terahash?
I think he had 8 or 9 plugged in.
I feel like, are they new gen USB miners? They're not like the old school. They can't be the old school block eruptors or whatever they were selling in 2013 or 2012 or something.
I think they may be block eruptors, dude. I mean, look, yeah. And here's some of his mini farm at Solve the Blocked, and his CG miner is what he was using.
Yeah, the block eruptors you would need like 1,000 of them or something to get even close to. Like 86 terahash is like what's miner M30S or something, right? They have their naming scheme is horrible.
The M30S, the M30s are
S plus or something.
No, the S plus is like 105 terahash.
Right, and the smaller one, the less powerful one is the M30S or whatever.
M31. The M31 is like 75 to 85 terahash.
Right, which is equivalent, right? And it's not unheard of for one of those rigs to find a block. The weird thing is that a pool with such little hash found 3 blocks in what, like a week and a half?
Yes. It's odd.
8 S9s is 86 terahash. Yeah, so there's something up with the USB. That could be bullshit too. I don't think there's a way to verify that it was actually the USB miners that did it. Like there's no way to, I'm pretty sure there's no way to cryptographically verify that. So it could just as likely have been, as Neil says, 8 S9s. But still, the weird part to me is the mining pool having such little hash, not necessarily the individual solos. Because, like for instance, like how many blocks did Slush find today?
In the last 24 hours, looking at insights.brains.com, 9 blocks.
Right. So if Slush changed their payout structure and they changed it to a solo payout structure, we would have had 9 solo miners find blocks today.
Yes.
It's just a payout structure thing. Now, the weird part is how little hash CK Pool has.
Very odd. Were they all the solo miner CK Pool? I thought the first one was...
No, so CK Pool has 2... Yeah. The 3 people that found solo blocks were all through CK Pool's solo pool. So CK Pool has 2 pools. They have a traditional pool that pays out proportionally, and then they have the solo pool that pays out only to the individual miner that found the block.
Yeah, and Jeff Swan, Guy Swan's brother, you're wrong on bits. Sorry for doing that, Matt. But Jeff, he tweeted out a question.
It's okay, it's an important conversation.
He tweeted out earlier this week, why would a solo miner mine to a pool? If they're solo mining, it doesn't make sense to me. And my guess is that they would mine to a solo pool and pay the 2% fee that the pool makes you pay if you join it, because the pool would promise you that they will construct a block that gets them the most amount of fees as possible. Which, if you're solo mining and you're used to catching blocks and constructing blocks and fine tuning for getting the most fees as you possibly can, maybe a pool with experience has a better opportunity of doing that. And the last solo mine block, the last solo mine block would prove that. They got 30 million 800,000 satoshis in fees, which is pretty high. Like on average, like the amount of fees that even the biggest pools have been acquiring in their blocks is not even 30 million satoshis. So it seems like CK is good.
It's just it's a convenience charge, right? It's just it's easier to do. It's convenient. You just don't have to worry about it. Just point it directly at a pool. It's a very easy process to do for miners.
Yes. A lot of mining talk. I need it.
See what Neil said. Plus, people don't know how to solo mine.
Right. Neil, how many claws deep are we this week? Or we claw free in January? We claw free? We're still in January. Interesting thing.
When Neil sent me a customized bottle of tequila.
What the fuck, Neil? Did I chop liver? Chop liver, Neil? I have to fucking shoo the Neils away too now?
We don't live in a free country. You're chopped liver and the Ben's are right. And Neil's sober.
Thank you.
He's just sending me liquor, but he's sober.
You're driving. Stop commenting and driving, please.
I love that. Neil, sober, driving, laughy face.
Send me a bottle of tequila. 6 in Congress in Austin, Texas. On to shout outs. The solo mining thing, interesting. I would like Arbed out to elaborate on his cryptic Ian Fleming quote there and what he thinks. Maybe it is. It's like maybe it is CK Pool advertising, and they really have a bunch of hash rate, and they're just pretending.
Right, they have a bunch of hash, and then they
that they own personally, and they're
and then they like reconstruct it to make it look like it was the solo miner.
Yeah, okay.
And they get it in this, but the thing is, it's weird that BTC.com says that CK Pool doesn't have much hash.
Well, maybe they're part of like the unknown pool.
Yeah, they're unknown. They're not reporting it.
Yes.
Which would also be classic.
Yeah. Okay. So
I love this shit.
I do too.
Because the key thing is the Bitcoin protocol is not broken here, right?
Yeah, because I was worried.
And they're playing by the Bitcoin rules, but I love when people play games within the rules.
Yes, and I was worried. So I was worried. Arbed out's cryptic tweet was like somebody fucked up shot 256 or something like that in some way. But it seems like CK Pools probably just has a bunch of shadow hash that they're not advertising publicly.
To be clear, Neil
is sober right now.
Sober right now. He is drinking again.
Okay, it's good to know.
Thank you for the update. This is the important stuff. This is why people tune in.
He's not drinking and driving. He'll probably start drinking when he's done driving, and then stay out of the car. Oh, we got to shut the door. We got people coming through the Bitcoin comments. Bitcoin comments is popping, and we have the door open. So we're gonna close that right now. CK Pool playing some games. I do like that as well too. I was worried that somebody was gaming SHA 256, which does not seem to be the case. And now we're on the shout outs. This is a very prestigious shout out. I'm flattered that this gentleman is reaching out. What's up, fellas? Jerome Powell here, aka Jeremy, aka Juicy J. I need your help. Midterms are approaching and inflation is running hot as the Texas sun. The thing is, I can't actually raise rates without crashing the economy. And if I'm being honest, I have a primal urge to brrr like I've never brrrred before. I don't know. Sometimes I get crazy thoughts like maybe the world reserve currency shouldn't be manipulated by a handful of unelected bureaucrats. Help me! Is there any way out of this conundrum? XOXO, Jeremy. Jerome, Jeremy, Juicy J. You can just come out and say, hey, I'm part of the problem. There's a solution to the problem.
Juicy J from now on the
Juicy
pod.
J. Juicy J with that hot. And I think that's disrespectful to the actual Juicy J, who throws out some bangers. Part of 3-6 Mafia. You guys understand rap or know about rap. I was a big Juicy J fan in high school and college. I haven't listened to his stuff recently. But Jerome Powell, way out of this, you could hold your hand up and say, hey, I'm part of the problem. This obviously doesn't work. I'm part of this game of hot potato between Fed shares. We all know that there's an inevitable conclusion to this monetary experiment, which is a complete collapse of the monetary system and a contagion throughout the financial system. It's better to own up to it and admit that we keep digging a hole. We're just digging a hole deeper, deeper, deeper. More debt, more money, more inflation, more inequality in the wealth gap. There's a solution to this. We have a sound money now. If we get back to sound money, people can lower their time preference and accumulate capital and deploy capital in a much more efficient and responsible fashion, due to the fact that opportunity costs will be returned to the market. And it's called Bitcoin. We can just transition to that. I recommend that every American stack sats. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to get the pension stacking sats first, because that's where a lot of retirement savings is held. And that's where a lot of the stress that I, as Fed chairman, feel, as if all these pensions that hold all these retirement accounts go bust because the dollar just incinerates. That's not a word. Disintegrates.
Incinerates?
That's going to be bad. Incinerates. J-Pal does watch the show. He's a fan. Juicy J. Up here. Bitcoin's a solution, Jerome. I don't envy your position at all. You seem very stressed out, to say the least. And it's hilarious. Obviously, I will talk. Shout out Dunn. Talking to Jerome Powell, Dunn. But markets crashing this week, as before the FOMC meeting that was held, I believe yesterday and today, the meeting went on into today. The markets were crashing as they are expecting rate hikes to happen.
They tried to have the meeting, but Jerome Powell saw his shadow and went back in the hole.
Yeah, he's back in the hole. But, I mean, markets are reacting negatively to the prospect of a rate hike that Jerome Powell is posturing like is coming. Banks like JP Morgan are saying, yes, there's going to be multiple hikes. They think like 6 to 9 hikes, which is fucking insane. It's never going to, like, it's, I mean,
great meme potential though.
Very great meme potential. Markets are tanking because they're expecting rate hikes, which would increase, obviously rate hike is an interest rate hike, which would increase the cost of debt, which would make it more expensive to do things throughout the economy. And so markets are like, we don't like that, so we're going to crash. And the way this works now that we live in this clown world monetary financial system is the only way the markets can go back up is if Jerome Powell and the Fed not only posture, but also follow through with printing more money and easing rates, or keeping them at around zero where they exist now. I don't think we're going to see a rate hike this year, the way markets are reacting. I believe from when I read the analysis of the Fed, the FOMC meeting, is they weren't as hawkish, which means they weren't as ardent about raising rates. So it seems like they're already sort of backing away from rate rises. I think there's 0% chance in hell that they actually raise rates. Everybody's like, they got to raise them to decrease them again. But I just don't think.
Well, they might raise them a little bit, but not substantially.
I mean, they'd raise them like 25 bips, if that. Yeah. I don't think.
Well, I mean, you had a tweet that said they are not going to raise it a single bip.
Not a single bip. Not a single basis.
Yeah, that's probably wrong.
I don't think they're going to raise rates, dude. I don't think they're even going to fuck with it, because
tiny amount, like a little bit.
One bip would, like,
little bit.
Alan Farrington hopped in that there. That would be a great troll, though. They were just like, all right, 1 bip, 1 basis point. Just
so GCJ can prove you wrong.
Yes, I hope so. Hey, if you're listening, that would be a great troll. Then we know you're listening to the show, Juicy J. If you just do,
but yeah, they can't substantially raise rates without crashing everything, and that would fuck over rich people because poor people don't own assets. So when has the U.S. government tried to fuck over rich people?
Never. But hey, the Federal Reserve. Talk about another Orwellian naming here. The Federal Reserve is not part of the government. It has nothing to do with the federal government. It is a private entity. However,
none of this matters, because if you follow the shadow to flow model, Bitcoin will pump on February 2nd.
The shadow to flow model. Stock to flow is getting its face rubbed in the mud right now. I'm very happy we never. You can be happy.
Check the tapes, freaks.
Check the tapes. We've never pumped stock to flow model. I mean, stock to flow as a concept is very interesting. I do agree with the concept. I don't think the model popularized by Plan B is something that you should be following and expecting to play out in real life.
February 2nd, baby.
Shout out to Flo. Let's go. Everybody set your block clocks. Next shout out. Sometimes I hate you freaks. I farted and now my dick hurts from the fart.
Please get to the shout out.
I'm pretty sure my dick hurts from the fart. Yes, the fart was from my butt. Is there some vagal nerve connect? This doesn't even make sense. My penis and buttocks. I would go to doc, but not vaxxed. Fuck my dick hurt from ass gas. We'll film my butt farting when they release the Pentagon 9/11 tapes. They'll never release them. AKA never. Not going to happen. Want to see butt farting? Sorry, boys. Got to be in real life. TLDR. Dick ass butt fart. Now penis hurts. I don't know who wrote this or where your mind is. You need help. You need to seek help.
We appreciate your support, Freak. Thank you.
We do. Thank you for the 131,563 sats over the Lightning Network. Oh, wait, no. That was on-chain, so somebody could probably do on-chain analysis and find that transaction. Don't dox our address, please. Onto the list. Get help. Seek help. I'm just going to... the freak who wrote that, seek help. That's all I'll say. Medical and mental help. Stay classy. That's right, X-Frog. Software updates, as always. These updates have been released in the last week, unless there's a critical vulnerability or bug patch in any of them. You probably don't need to rush to go update these, but you should be aware that these updates are available. Phoenix version 1.4.20 has been released. Bisq version 1.8.2 has been released. Zap version 0.7.6 beta has been released. Joinbox version 0.6.6 has been released. BTC Pay Server version 1.4.0 has been released. I'll note on this, I updated this today, and it is a pretty massive UI overhaul. It was a bit jarring when I signed back into BTC Pay in a good way. It's the design is much cleaner.
What has changed?
Just the UI. What I don't know from the feature set. They changed.
I saw LN URL auth was added.
They fixed some bugs too. Add LN URL auth support as second factor authentication. That's pretty cool. I like that. 2FA with your Lightning node. That's pretty cool. But yeah, the UI.
I assume that's for the back end, right? Like when you're managing your BTC Pay store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then the UI layout's completely different. I was like, what the hell is going on here? I will say that it is a bit weird for the shout outs. Reading them, the format of the shout outs in the text
What, on the
field.
new interface?
Yeah, it's a bit clunky. I gotta find it. I'm just not used to it. I mean, I'm getting used to the new layout. I have developed tendencies for the shout outs over the last however many years that we've been doing them. And,
Are we gonna get? Don't forget to do shout outs this episode. When are we gonna do shout outs?
Thank you for the shout outs, freaks. If you want to, thank you for the shout outs. If you're contributing via Podcasting 2.0 app, Fountain app, disclaimer, personal investor. Matt's a big fan of them. TFTC, Citadel Dispatch 1 and 2 in terms of Bitcoin podcast on the Fountain app. You guys are listening via the Fountain app and contributing to the show. Thank you very much. If you want to get rid of the...
Appreciate you, freaks.
We do. We'd love to get rid of the 6 minutes worth of ads in the beginning. If you listen via apps like Fountain, Sphinx, Breeze, and many other podcasting apps that are Podcasting 2.0 enabled, you can stream us sats as you listen. We very much thank you. And Oscar from Fountain, if you're listening, I will be transitioning the TFTC Podcasting 2.0 wallet to Fountain, but this is an experiment. It'll be custodial for a little bit. They're adding non-custodial support, but this is so that we can read boostograms that are coming from listeners listening on the Fountain app. So if you listen on the Fountain app and you stream us sats and you want to boost us like you can on Sphinx Chat, you can include a message similar to the shout out on that. We're going to have to figure out how to separate shout outs from the boostograms, but we'll figure it out. I think it's a cool little feature. But
I
again,
mean, you can also like natively read it from LND
Yeah,
using command line.
DJ hasn't written a scraper for that, and I'm not going to do it myself. So, DJ, if you're listening, if you want to build that scraper, maybe we can do that. Yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Wait, did you just tell Oscar did you just like confirm with him through the pod? Was that your?
Yeah, we had a call earlier this week where he walked me through like the podcaster wallet in the app. It's really cool. They're innovating very quickly. Again, disclaimer: personally invested in Fountain, but Matt is not personally invested. He can
Not invested in Fountain. I like it. It's my favorite podcasting 2.0 interface alongside Breeze Wallet.
Yeah.
Breeze with 2 E's and a Z, because we love naming schemes.
Car's giving Fountain the thumbs up as well.
Oscar's a friend. I'm a fan. Oscar's a fan.
Car's friends with Oscar. Shout out to Oscar and team. Nick's Bitcoin version 0.0.63 has been released. Sphinx Relay version 2.2.5 has been released. Lightning Terminal version 0.6.2 alpha has been released. And that is it for the software updates this week. If you're running any of these softwares, it doesn't seem like there's any critical vulnerabilities that these updates are patching. I would go check out the release notes and ask yourself if you would like the features included in these releases, and then download it if you want it. On to the end of the list here. Satoshi Energy raises 60 Bitcoin with a focus on Bitcoin mining infrastructure. Disclaimer, 1031 was included in this round. But yeah, these guys are helping Bitcoin miners source energy. They have a focus on what some would deem to be renewable energy. So the seed funding is a significant milestone for our company as we build a market-leading strategy for Bitcoin miners to procure low-cost renewable power and transform the future of energy finance. And Satoshi Energy said in a statement to Bitcoin Magazine. This is, in my opinion, just another highlight that the energy sector and the Bitcoin mining sector are beginning to merge. They are converging. They will be synonymous by the end of the decade. If you run an energy company, you will have Bitcoin mining operations implemented at some point in your stack. It is inevitable. There's a lot of people in the oil and gas world who are getting annoyed about how much Bitcoin talk is happening in the oil and gas world. You're Luddites. It is inevitable. You are going to be Bitcoin mining by the end of the decade, and I would expect it to actually be sooner. But as we know, throughout leaps forward and innovations throughout history, there are a lot of people who just don't want to go on with the new trends, and so there will be holdouts. But what do you think about this, Matt? Do Bitcoin miners?
Coolest part of this you haven't mentioned is
the
that they
Bitcoin
get this
part.
raised denominated in Bitcoin.
Yes, denominated in Bitcoin. They're on the Bitcoin stack.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool.
I mean, we're trying to normalize it. I didn't want to like point it out. I said they raised 60 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
60 Bitcoins.
60 Bitcoin. You said it.
60 Bitcoins.
We caught you. We just caught you. Check the tapes, freaks.
What is that? 6 billion sats. 6 billion
No.
sats. Yeah.
More.
No, it's 6 billion
No,
sats.
6 billion sats. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 billion sats.
6 billion sats. How many bits?
I couldn't tell you. I honestly, somebody over the weekend, and I know we were like, let's not talk about it's not important. I thought it was like 100,000 sats in a bit. They were like, no, it's 100. I was like, see, exactly. Like
It's 60 million bits, right? There's a million bits in a Bitcoin.
a million bits in a Bitcoin, yeah. 100
So it's
sats
60
in a bit.
million. It's 60 million bits and 6 billion sats.
Yes.
And Groundhog's Day is February 2nd.
Yes. Never forget, freaks. Never forget. Back to the energy sector. Like, what do you think? Do you think energy companies become the biggest miners, or do you think Bitcoin miners, the biggest miners, become energy companies? See, like being close to this, obviously, having worked at Great American Mining, being on the board of Cathedra, like these energy companies are going to get it, and they have the lowest cost.
Yeah, it's the second. It's the energy companies are going to dominate.
Yeah. Beware,
Because it's harder to become an energy company than it is to become a Bitcoin miner.
Yes, I agree. So Bitcoin miners out there, beware. Like maybe this
And
is just like a nation.
A lot of the energy companies like have like borderline de facto government protected monopolies too.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, So
They
like,
have that advantage.
so large Bitcoin miners, I'd highly recommend that you develop strategies that include becoming an energy provider yourself. I mean, this may just be like where Bitcoin's 13. The way the mining industry has progressed up to this point in time may just be an anomaly driven by enthusiasts like ourselves that allowed Bitcoiners to develop these large mining operations. But in the future, the big energy companies are going to come in and be like, yeah, we actually have access to the lowest cost, the lowest price point of the energy. We're pretty good at extracting it and turning it into electricity. So we're just going to do this. So if you're a massive mining operation, you should be thinking about this very, very seriously and be implementing it into your roadmap. How are you going to become an energy company? And if you're not, how are you going to convince the energy companies that they should acquire you or work closely with you as a contractor or partner, however you want to phrase it? This is pretty fucked up and infuriating. The IRS is beginning to require selfies for some services using third-party company, which is ID.me, correct?
Yeah. And the guy who runs ID.me is supposedly
Spook.
extremely questionable.
They've had pretty massive data breaches in the past too, haven't they?
Yeah, obviously they're a facial recognition company. Yeah, this is not great. I mean, it's starting with niche services like the child tax credit update portal. But expect this to go across the board. And I think this is a very poignant example of that KYC isn't just a Bitcoin thing. It is, permeating every aspect of our lives. As Bitcoiners, we obviously focus on the Bitcoin specific things. But they're going to make it, the US government is going to make it harder and harder to be a law abiding citizen while still protecting your privacy and protecting your personal information.
IRS wants your face.
This is just another example,
Yeah, it's so fucked. We don't live in a free country. Matt doesn't like me IRS bashing, but
we don't live in a free country, Bill.
just prop vote. Do we live in a free
Make
country?
America free again, Bill.
Please. God damn it, please. Well, I think America at the federal level has fallen. I don't think we're ever going to claw back. That's why I'm here in Texas. I have faith that Texas will stand up for individual rights.
What are the weed laws like?
They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people smoking pot here in Austin, though. It's like I've never had problems smoking pot in my life.
I had a college buddy who got charged with a felony for having like a dime bag.
A dime bag in Texas?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, that was a while ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say how many years ago that was, but it was a bit ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, you don't need the wacky tobacco. However, with that being said, regardless of
The
Texas,
good thing, tobacco doesn't have nicotine in it, so
whether it's Texas or some other state, I do think we should be leaning on states to protect individual rights moving forward. I don't think the federal government's going to do it. They've completely lost the plot. They're completely co-opted. They're completely against individual sovereignty and civil liberties. They want to control. I mean, the selfie stuff for the IRS is insane.
And like, at least like, if you're going to force us to take selfies, like at least do it yourself. Like have a first party, like take some of our tax money.
You're expecting the government to do that? To build a facial recognition system?
It doesn't even have to be a fucking facial recognition system. Just like upload a selfie. I don't know. It's a horrible policy. But the third party company is even worse. It just shows like this corporate government partnership where you have corporate surveillance, you have government surveillance. They work hand in hand together. And it should basically just be considered one and the same at this point. The CEO recently made some bullshit claims about how they don't do like one-to-many face recognition and then just walked it back. There's like a lot of sketchiness that's happening there.
Yes. And what did Mussolini define the combining of government and corporate actors?
It's fascism.
Thank you. It's fascism. It's here. It's here, freaks. You don't live in a free country. You live in a fascist.
It's been here for a bit, but yeah.
Live in a fascist oligarchic state. The sooner you realize that, the better. I mean, America is not free. The United States is not free. Many countries throughout the world are not free. I don't know. Like, we need to fight back for this. And you can do it peacefully with Bitcoin. You can take your privacy back. You can take your sovereignty back. Take your private property back. Bitcoin enables this. We're literally in the fight of our lives, the fight of our future. We live in a fascist, oligarchic state, and they want to take everything from you. They want to take everything from you, and they're actively moving to do it. I've been doing it slowly but surely. This is the theme of this podcast. I mean, it started with the Bank Secrecy Act. It started before that with the Federal Reserve Act, you could argue. Bank Secrecy Act stepped it up a bit. The Patriot Act stepped it up a bit. The CARES Act stepped it up a bit. This America Competes Act is going to step it up a bit. The Build Back Better Act is going to step it up a bit. The Green New Deal is going to step it up a bit. These are not. The Green New Deal is another one we didn't mention. Like, it's the Green New Deal.
Bitcoin's the Green New Deal.
The Orange New Deal. It's
doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, you're getting quoted on Twitter already. The U.S. government is going to make it harder and harder to be a law-abiding citizen while still protecting your privacy and protecting your personal information.
Why are you on Twitter, Marty? You give me shit about looking at the live chat and you're on Twitter?
I don't know. You called me out. You caught me. I'm sorry.
Press the retweet button, though.
Okay.
You close the window.
I will. Next list on its or next topic on the list. Next list on the topic. Next topic on the list is
I'm getting shadow banned, Marty.
Yeah, you are. Let's talk about that before we go on to the next. What's that been like? What'd you do? You tweeted out a picture of an empty shopping cart. Got
It was a
shadow
funny
banned,
meme.
and you were
That
making
was a
fun of
pretty funny
Bitcoin.
meme.
You're making fun of Bitcoin. It's not even like you were making fun of the U.S. government.
Well, no, it was like the beauty of the meme was, right. It's that meme that it's like your shopping cart gets smaller and smaller every time. It was a while ago, Car. Your shopping cart. It was like 6 days ago. Your shopping cart has less and less stuff in it if you have fiat, but it has more and more if it has Bitcoin. And just in either situation, your shopping cart's empty now. It's just grocery prices are going up, Bitcoin's crashing. But yeah, I got shadow banned for this. People couldn't see the tweet, and then my tweets since have all been. They're like hidden under a suspicious activity
Veil.
banner. Even I had Greg Zaj, fuck you, Greg, DM me my own tweet, and when he DM'd me this tweet, it was blocked under a suspicious activity to myself. He DM'd my tweet to me, and they had it hidden.
Oh, right here, this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you had but you had a tweet that went fucking
There it
crazy
is.
viral.
See that?
I texted you over the weekend. What was the tweet you sent out that was like getting?
Can't stop the signal.
Yeah.
Well, both of those tweets. That tweet went crazy. The shopping cart tweet did really well. What was the other tweet?
I forget. Here, I'll go to our chat because I remember being like, "Holy shit, you're shadow banned, and this is doing fucking numbers right now."
Yeah, I'm still shadow banned. Well, anyway, freaks. Twitter's my last stand on social media. I have no other social media accounts. So if you want to, when I eventually get banned from it, you can find me in the TFTC and Citadel chat rooms on Matrix. That's tftc.chat and citadel.chat. I am not opening up another social media account.
Yeah. The one I tweeted, it was a great rally cry tweet. If Bitcoin fails, we're all fucked. Governments and corporations would have complete and total control of money with the ability to track, seize, and censor at will. It's that simple. Life is short and there is no mission I would rather be focused on. All in, no regrets. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, that was the funny thing. They tried to shadow. They're like trying to fuck with me, and with that tweet got like insane engagement.
Yeah. Well,
It's not very effective.
It's a great tweet. And as we've been saying throughout this episode, it is literally... Bitcoin is an imperative, freaks. I'm sure if you're here and you're listening, you understand this, but I think we need to get this message permeated throughout the rest of society. Without Bitcoin, we are absolutely butt fucked moving into the digital age. Like, we're just going to become a lube company if Bitcoin fails. That's going to be our pivot if Bitcoin fails.
We're so fucked.
We're just going to sell lube. That's we're all going to get fucked in the ass by the government. In the fascist.
That's like my favorite. First of all, I really don't think we're in like a 2018 style bear market, but I've been wrong in the past. So it's best to operate under the assumption that we are going into one, and just make sure you're as humble as possible and you keep stacking regardless. But my favorite, like when the price is crashing, my favorite meme is like you're like 4 beers deep with your Bitcoin buddies, and you're just like, what if we're wrong?
Oh, that conversation gets dark real quick. Oh, fuck. My father-in-law's going to beat me.
If everybody's so bad, I just wouldn't. I would just go live in a cabin in the woods and just not talk to people anymore.
Yeah. I think
we are legitimately all in. There's everything is on this.
Financially, socially, intellectually, publicly.
Literally everything.
All in. It's an imperative, freaks. It really is. On a more serious note, this is the fight. And as somebody who's got a child and another one on the way, I do not want them to grow up in this fucking digital panopticon. I will not allow it. I'll try not to allow it. Hopefully we get more people to join the cause, take custody of their coins, and use Bitcoin, and call out all these evil people around the world. They're all fucking evil. They're demonic. Again, they're okay. For your sake, Matt, we'll use good arguments. They are restricting your freedoms. They don't care about you. Just look at their actions. They'll say things. Again, they say things with these acts: Patriot Act, Green New Deal, Build Back Better. They say all these peachy things. If you actually look at the implementation of what the policies that they're talking about and that are supposed to do nice things, they actually do very bad things to you. Inhibit your ability to actually live free. Live free. Live free or die. Shout out Jay Stark. Live free or die, motherfucker. Life's not worth living if you're not fucking free. I will not be a pod person. I will not be a fucking cattle.
Rest in peace, Jay Stark.
R.I.P. Jay Stark. Puerto Rico. Tax breaks for outsiders is stirring outrage. Obviously, there are a lot of Bitcoiners historically and continually that moved to Puerto Rico because of their 2% income tax. Is that what it is?
No, it's the cap gains is the big thing. And it's really fucked up, actually, because it's not, if you're a local, you're not eligible for it. It's only for new immigrants.
Yeah, so you have a bunch of hedge funders and rich
and Bitcoin people and crypto people just a lot of rich people are coming to the island. They get beneficial tax status, and the locals don't get it. It's pretty remarkably fucked up.
Yes.
To be quite honest. It's not Bitcoin's fault. It's not. I wouldn't say it's not the individual's fault who's coming. It is an approach. I kind of understand. They want to. They're really struggling as an economy. They're trying to bring new businesses and rich people to the island, but it is really fucked up that locals can't take advantage of it.
Yeah, not really fair if you think about it. And what is it? And if you're Puerto Rico too, wouldn't you want to incentivize your local community, the people native to your island, to actually build and innovate? And you can argue that they're actually disincentivized to do that because other people are just going to come in and get better tax breaks. Why would I go through all the hard work to actually start something productive and additive to our society when other people are just going to come in and save more money than I would ever be able to hope to make?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things broken with Puerto Rico. They would go bankrupt if they could, but they're not allowed to go bankrupt. So
is that because of big old U.S. of A?
Desperate. What?
It's because of the big old U.S. of A. We won't let them.
States can go bankrupt, but commonwealths can't.
Territory. Oh, Pennsylvania is a commonwealth.
Puerto Rico's unique in it that they can't go bankrupt.
Pennsylvania is technically a commonwealth too.
I don't think so.
I am from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a commonwealth. You can look it up.
Yeah, but it's not it's different kind of commonwealth. It's a state. Puerto Rico is not a state.
I'm trying to search, is Pennsylvania a commonwealth? And the first one that comes out, is Pennsylvania safe? I think so. Philadelphia gets pretty... North Philly.
That's not the question, Marty.
I know. It's a commonwealth.
There's a distinction there. Maybe Pennsylvania is a commonwealth and a state, but it's a state. And Puerto Rico is only a commonwealth. It is not a state.
It's not only Pennsylvania either. It's Kentucky, Massachusetts, Virginia, and Pennsylvania are
Yeah, all
commonwealths.
states. They're all states.
Distinction doesn't mean they are any different. Okay, there's no. They use it. I guess it's just they call themselves commonwealths, but they are treated like states. Yes. So Puerto Rico is unique in this regard.
Yeah, Puerto Rico's not a state. It's like it's a territory.
It's a territory. Yeah. It's such. I don't even get that stuff too. Like they can vote, but they don't have the same rights.
They can't vote.
I'm pretty sure they can.
I don't think they can.
Can Puerto Ricans vote? Federal voting rights in Puerto Rico, voting rights of United States citizens who live in Puerto Rico. Voting rights of residents of other.
Can they vote?
I think so. They differ, but like they can vote in some elections.
I don't think they can. We got Daniel Legler saying they can't.
Residents of Puerto Rico and other U.S. territories do not have voting representation in the United States Congress. Okay, they can.
Well, they don't have Congress, but they can. I don't think they can vote in the presidential election either.
The United States Constitution grants congressional voting representation to U.S. states, which Puerto Rico and other U.S. unincorporated
I love.
territory.
We have all these different comments about like what Puerto Rico's status is, and then we just have shop boys in there going, "I visited in 2019. It's gorgeous."
Wow.
It is gorgeous. Yeah, great. I want to go to Rincon. I want to surf Rincon, but
Now to Guam.
well, like it's all fucking like. Hopefully, in the digital age,
They can't vote either.
Yeah, we need to get back to like
But they're
sovereign.
farther away.
Let's get back to sovereign city states that create trade deals with each other. Just free and open trade behind sovereign city states that have their own laws and people can go live where they want. I'm sorry you didn't get the skydive shop, boys. That's a shame.
That's on you. Take some personal responsibility.
Well, this was state politics with your friends at Rabbit Hole Recap. We have one more topic on the list, which I'll let Matt take over. They finally, after many months of deliberation, chosen the 30 open source projects that are going to get free 4-day passes to Bitcoin 2022.
Use the other link, Carr. Remember I dropped it in Telegram?
My bad.
So this I'm pretty excited about. Bitcoin 2022, April 6th to 9th. We're going to have an open source conference hall that fits 2,000 people. But in addition to that, we have this open source ticket program that we started in October. We're expanding the ticket program previously. So now we're adding another 24 projects. So we have a list of 30 projects here, open source projects here, that are going to get any contributor to them that has done a commit before October 1st, because we don't want people to go spam these projects with commits, can apply for a free 4-day pass to Bitcoin 2022. It's been in the works for a couple months. I'm very excited to finally have it out there. If you already bought a ticket, you're not going to get a refund, but you're welcome to sell or transfer the tickets. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I love all these projects. I love our open source contributors. We're so lucky to have them. I'm truly grateful to our open source community. This movement would not be possible without them. And if you're not an open source contributor, consider becoming one. Some of these you're eligible even if you before October 1st, if you did documentation changes or text edits, grammar edits. Like, these projects need a lot of support that's not just dev or engineering focused. And this ticket program is open to all of them. And if you don't feel like doing that either, I have that code open source that gets you 21% off. And I'm being told that don't share that on Twitter. As a reminder, again, I don't get any money from that code, but if it gets shared on Twitter, like, it seems very close to them removing that code for me.
And if they do remove it, you can use the code TFTC for 10% off.
For 10%, yeah. So you should try and use the 21% code until that gets removed, because that's just basic math.
But if it doesn't work, the code TFTC will get you 10% off. You're not going to get 21% off. But
And that reminds me, we also, BitBlock Boom, we have 3 codes for BitBlock Boom that we also don't get paid for, which is TFTC, RHR, and Dispatch.
boss.
And they all get you the same % off. So I don't even, just use one of them. It doesn't really matter.
Gary. I had something to add.
I love BitBlock Boom.
I do too.
But yeah, this is, so each one of these has the logo. Not only do we have the logo of the projects, if you click them, it takes you to their repo. It takes you to their GitHub or GitLab. Some of the projects use GitLab. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Ooh, this isn't good. Somebody, I'm getting made aware. Here, Carl, I'll put this in the group chat that Treasury isn't the only one complying with that Swiss travel rule
So they said
implementation.
Bitbox is.
Bitbox, Trezor, Blue Wallet. Looks like, is that Sparrow? Edge, Mount Pelerin,
Well, Edge is garbage. No one should use it.
or will soon have. So the following wallets already have or will soon have built-in support for AOPP. Yeah, Sparrow. What's going on with that?
I don't know. Is this on the Treasury's website?
I'm not sure.
What is the?
I'm responding now. What's the source here?
It could be like Sparrow. If you use a Trezor with Sparrow, it supports it.
And it looks like Sparrow is removing AOPP with the next release.
I wonder what the deal is with that. I got to talk to Craig. Craig's going to be at Bitcoin 2022, and he's going to be speaking on the open source stage. And Sparrow is listed as one of the open source projects. So is Blue Wallet. That get their contributors get free tickets. So
Yeah, shame, publicly shame if they're complying with this. You're on our side, not the Swiss government side. Wallet providers, okay?
no KYConly.com or go list in Citadel Dispatch 51. CitadelDispatch.com/CD51.
That was it for the list, but we're at that part of the cycle where I just get so many fucking emails.
Shoegate.
No, we're not
forgot
bringing
the last item on the list.
No, we're not going to shoe. I mean, whatever. Somebody wrote an article about Shoegate. I will shoe everybody I want to. Ta, 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 ta. Shoo, 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 shoo.
Marty's trying to censor the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a good parody.
Who is the author of this again?
Young Remy.
Remington Lebo.
Remington Lebo. Shoegate
Ride or die
2022.
Bitcoiner right there. We stand with you, Remington.
Justice for the Bens.
Look, he's invading my personal space. Look at him leaning in there.
You
Look at him
literally
leaning.
invited him upstairs. You invited him upstairs into the studio, handed him a pair of headphones, and then this clip happened.
Yeah, because I was done. He said his piece.
He said he just wants an apology.
He's not getting
An apology on air, that's all.
he's not getting anything. I'll get another shoe in the face if he's not careful.
They're not going to stop. The Bens aren't going to stop.
I don't give a fuck. The Bens can keep going all they want.
We got Tyler in the comments. Marty is a monster. Let's be real.
I am a monster. Okay, not easy doing this. I just want to make a note. Done the list. Shoegate's over. I get these fucking emails. It's a well-versed
It's lacrosse,
shoe.
though. It's lacrosse.
Yeah, it is lacrosse. There's a lot of risks in the lacrosse game.
I really enjoyed the first sentence of that Shoegate article,
We're not going back to it. Okay.
where they like talked about everyone should go read the article.
We're
It's
here-
a very well informed piece of journalism. Or what is it? Watergate, Pizzagate, Sharpiegate, Bill Gates. What do they have all in common? The word gate.
It's true. Well, like the word gate, like they're all one word. So like the gate is whatever. PR firms for shitcoin companies email me incessantly. It's becoming like a point where like I'm getting, like, I might have to like
it's
switch
bad.
my email, like because obviously with the RSS feed you associate an email with it, and People are emailing me in and out. And like,
Yeah, that's where they get it from, the RSS feed.
if you're a PR firm and you want your shitcoiner to come on the podcast, number one, it's never going to happen. But number two, please like have enough respect to actually like match up the subject line with your copy and pasted email. So here we have a subject line: Tales from the Crypt, a Bitcoin podcast guest request. Eric Chen, CEO and co-founder of Injective Labs. Hi, Marty. For a potential future guest on the Bad Crypto podcast. This isn't the Bad Crypto podcast. I'm assuming it is a bad podcast because
Maybe he's just saying our show is a bad crypto podcast.
maybe. What's she? Madeline. Madeline, come correct if you're going to come in my inbox. I'd like to offer you Eric Chen. You're offering him to me. You're offering. You're just going to offer this dude that you're representing.
I mean, I
Is
think
this a
they can go
sexual
fuck
advance?
themselves.
Is this a sexual advance, Madeline?
I mean, I think. I think they should know their audience and they can go fuck themselves. But it's kind of bad form to just read emails on air.
I'm sorry. I don't care. I honestly don't care. Because this is a product incubated by Binance and backed by Mark Cuban. So,
Have fun staying poor.
no, I don't think this is bad form. They're spamming my inbox. Well, it's not
I
even
don't
that.
know.
It's not like I'm reading her last name and putting her email out there.
I mean, you read Eric Chen's last name.
Yeah, I mean, he's public. it's not like I'm giving
Who
away
the
his
fuck
email.
is Eric Chen?
Exactly. Like, stop trying to get these people on the podcast. That's one thing. Don't ask to come on the podcast. If I want somebody on the podcast, I will reach out to you.
Eric, if you're listening, unsubscribe.
Even Bitcoiners. I have Bitcoiners who ask me. It's like, I will ask you when I want you to come on.
You should just respond to them all caps, unsubscribe.
I should. I had to do that to a bent subscriber the other week. Oop. Drop my water there. All right, we're done. I got to go to Houston soon. I mean, we're done with the list. We have some time to chat. Anything on top of your mind, sir?
No. I got nothing.
Shit's serious. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I really do think that, we should be like, as Bitcoiners, we should be pretty much operating under the expectation that we're on war footing here and that we're going to have attacks from every angle and that the first attack was KYC. And it's just really frustrating that I feel like people aren't taking that threat really seriously. Yeah.
Silent war.
it is a silent war. I mean, we're in World War III outside of Bitcoin. We're deep in the World War III already. It's not a kinetic war like wars of years past. Bitcoiners are a meta war within that war, and we're being attacked by all angles.
I have something to talk about. This was like the first real cycle where I'm getting paid in Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, I saw you tweet about this.
And we obviously had the whole paid in Bitcoin movement that blew up this year with athletes and stuff. It is absolutely brutal income tax treatment on Bitcoin if the price dumps. It is fucking brutal as fuck. And I feel like people talk about cap gains, people talk about the injustices of cap gains and how that is dealt with and the extra burden that provides. But no one really talks about how income tax is handled.
You mark to market at the time of receipt.
Right. So let's say you received a $10,000 paycheck and we were at $65,000 Bitcoin and you received that in Bitcoin, right? You owe income tax on $10,000. So if you're getting taxed at 30 to 40% on your income tax, you owe $4,000 in tax on that $10,000 worth of Bitcoin you received in last spring or whatever. But now Bitcoin is at $35,000. So your Bitcoin that was worth $10,000 is now worth $5,000 and you owe $4,000 worth of taxes on it. So you've made $1,000 because you held the Bitcoin instead of immediately selling it when you received it as payment.
And guess what? You're giving those tax dollars to a government that allocates it terribly inefficiently and does nothing to actually make your life better, but in fact makes it worse by hiring a bunch of incredibly stupid people to thrust more bureaucratic regulations on your life. Like
That is
taxes.
fucking brutal, right? Like that
Yeah.
is like that is pretty insane. Like obviously the price goes up, then it's great. But if the price goes down and dumps, it is really bad. And then
Oh, dude.
of course when it goes back up again eventually, then you're gonna have to pay cap gains on that.
Dude, one thing we didn't have on the list, which may actually pertain to this, is the IMF coming after El Salvador to rescind their designation as Bitcoin as legal tender. We should have had that on the list. And so we're going to talk about it now. Like, why did they do that? The IMF came out and they said, all right, you guys can have your citizens use Bitcoin wallets and transact in Bitcoin. However, we, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, an unelected banking institution, a supranational banking institution that nobody asked for, we're going to pretend like we have authority over you. We're going to tell you to rescind your designation as Bitcoin as legal tender. Why are they doing that? Your citizens can use it, but you can't designate as legal tender. And I think it has to do with something that many people were talking about when the Bitcoin law first became a law in September, which is the way that a lot of these international trade deals are set up is that if one country within any of these international trade deals designates something as legal tender, it has to be recognized as legal tender as every
Whatever happened
counterpart.
to that?
Well, I think this is a bubbling of that coming back, and the IMF's trying to not say it overtly, but is trying to strong arm like that, because if the countries involved in these trade agreements are actually going to respect them, then all of them have to recognize Bitcoin as legal tender. And so,
I mean, that's also the issue. That's the issue with this income tax thing, right? Which is that your taxes are denominated in dollars.
Yes.
At the time of receipt. If they were denominated in Bitcoin, then it doesn't really matter what happens to the Bitcoin price between the time you receive the income to the time you have to pay the tax, right? Because it'll just be whatever 30% or 40, whatever your tax bracket is, depending on which state you live in and whatnot. It would just be of the Bitcoin denominated amount. But because it's a fiat and the price dumps at the same time, it is just fucking. It is insane.
Yeah. And I think there is something there with the IMF calling it out. I think they're unintentionally, but like highlighting that like it being legal tender is a problem for these trade deals, or the countries involved with those trade deals, because then they have to recognize Bitcoin as legal tender as well.
Yeah, I don't know like how valid that is, but we'll see.
I mean, well, I think it's valid contractually in the trade deals. However, they probably won't recognize it. They'll just gloss over and be like, this doesn't mean anything anymore.
Imagine trying, like, you can't go to Target and pay pesos.
No.
And I can't pay my taxes with pesos.
No.
And if I receive pesos as income, it's marked to dollars at the time that I receive it.
Yeah. We need some.
So what's the deal? What's going on here? That doesn't flow.
Well, I think it has to do with the internet. So it definitely has to do with the trade deal. I guess if El Salvador wanted to force a foreign country to accept Bitcoin when they're purchasing goods, that would be the case where like they have to. I guess it's a country to country deal. So yeah, it probably doesn't pertain to the income tax discussion that we're having.
I just wonder, like, if we're gonna see. So, like, I used a $10,000 example, right? But some of these athletes put millions of dollars in, so all those numbers are higher. I wonder if we're gonna see like a blowback FUD. I was like kind of like I wasn't sure if I wanted to even talk about this because prices down, people are just being drama queens all over the place. So like I knew I was gonna get accused of FUD, but I really do think this could be like a fun FUD line that we see in 2022 if the price stays depressed, which is like some of the players and celebrities that got paid in Bitcoin, basically using it as an argument against Bitcoin, even though it's really an argument against
the tax
our
system.
burdensome regulatory environment, right? Like it's not Bitcoin's fault. But it could be an interesting narrative to watch.
I found that tweet
Yeah, pull it up. Pull it up. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could see it being FUD. Okay, so here's what Kate Long tweeted back in June, excuse me, before. It was the day after Bukele or Jack Mallers announced that El Salvador was adopting Bitcoin. Okay, let's dig in. Here's a too long to read. If El Salvador adopts legislation to make Bitcoin legal tender, it likely gets status as money, so treated on par with foreign currency by banks. Possibly gets cash accounting treatment under US GAAP IFRS. Solves Bitcoin adverse accounting. So it would just be like an accounting thing. You'd be able to use.
Yeah, but she also tweeted this out like right after last year's Groundhog Day.
Oh, this was June 8th. This is the day after they announced. You're messing up Groundhog Day. We went over this February 2nd.
I mean, it was a couple months after Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
My point is it was last year, right? Like this is, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe a backdoor way to enable banks to handle Bitcoin may solve Bitcoin's lower of cost or market accounting problem. Politicized immigration debate in the U.S. probably comes into play too. Incumbents will try to block this. Well, they were unsuccessfully able to block it. El Salvador did enact it as legal tender, and now the IMF's trying to get them to rescind it. And fuck you, IMF, the International Monetary Fund. You have no power over anybody. If a sovereign nation decides that they want to adopt what they deem to be a better monetary system, and they want to get away from a centrally planned monetary system and adopt a free market monetary system, who the fuck are you to tell them, no, like, screw you, go away, you vampires, you devils, you reptiles. The IMF urges El Salvador to remove Bitcoin as legal tender. It urges them. Take your urges and do something with them in the corner, IMF. Like, pull up the head of the IMF, some crazy lady in Germany, whatever. Again, physiognomy's real. Look at these people, Matt. Look at these people. They're like hall monitors. They look like hall monitors. They don't look like.
I just feel like there's a lot of very strong arguments that can be made against these organizations and people, but you just decide to attack their personal looks all the time, which I feel like hurts the argument.
It doesn't hurt the argument. Physiognomy's real. Look at I don't think you're gonna find it on their page, but she's an old German woman with short hair, and she wears like pantsuits that look terrible. Like, there's the people like lecturing you, like, you can't use Bitcoin. You can't use Bitcoin because I say so.
They're the shoe people.
No, they're not shoe people. They're like
they're the type of people that might shoe a Bitcoiner.
They're the soup Nazi guys. They're the no. A shoe's very sophisticated. Classic. The soup Nazi wag is unsophisticated, and comes from an undeserved layer of whatever.
Didn't like one of the shitty rating agencies also downgrade El Salvador this week or last week or something?
Yeah, where were you when we needed you to accurately? I think it was Moody's actually. Where were you?
All the AAA mortgage products.
Yeah,
whatever.
Where were you back then when you had strippers buying 4 homes with 0 down payments? Those mortgage-backed securities were AAA apparently.
Fucking scam, but they were getting paid by the fucking
banks.
Same banks that were putting them together.
Yes,
and then and they all have government monopolies. All the rating agencies have government-sanctioned monopolies, and no one got punished.
None. They're still around. People are still using their ratings to trade off of.
But also objectively, I feel like if a president is, buying Bitcoin, keeping it a BitGo, and shit posting on Twitter, like there might be some argument. There might be some argument for a downgrade.
Yes.
Even though the rating agencies can go fuck themselves.
Well, yeah, it will be interesting to see if this Bitcoin bond is successful. Like maybe that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I mean, a lot of it hinges on that Bitcoin bond.
Yeah. Can they actually raise capital?
It should be interesting to see how that plays out.
Because and
to be clear, like their Bitcoin position is a very small part of their annual revenues, GDP, whatnot, yes. Treasury.
But if they have a fully subscribed Bitcoin bond at $1 billion, it proves that they can raise capital external to the international debt system that exists.
And worst comes to worst, they can just take more money from China, who's building their library and their stadium.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be willing to offer it. There's others. other things on the list that we didn't have this week. Russia, Putin came out and said that mining, they have like great resources.
Well, so
for
first
mining.
the central bank. I left this off because it just seemed like bullshit. Because it was like first the central bank said they wanted to ban mining, so that had made the rounds.
and ban
And
Bitcoin.
then Putin came out and he was like, "There's a unique place for Bitcoin in Russia or something, right?"
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So Russia's posturing one way or another.
Seems like they're posturing both ways and another.
I mean, speaking of like Russia, Ukraine, you have the warmongering and the chicken shit neoconservatives are getting very emboldened right now, saying that we need to send troops to the border of Ukraine and Russia, which is unnecessary. I don't even think Ukrainians want that. And you have many in that
Ukraine never should have given up their nukes.
right? You have many in that class. Well, this is all an energy problem. Like, it all comes down to natural gas. Like, the fact that Europe is politically unwilling to actually extract the natural resources that they have under their land to provide their citizens with energy, they're forced to come into confrontation with Russia, and Ukraine is the proxy for all that confrontation because they need the natural gas from Russia. Fucking extract your own resources. Stop.
What about
virtue?
Kazakhstan?
Stop virtue signaling. And what about Kazakhstan?
It's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
That the Ukraine stuff's happening, the Kazakhstan stuff is happening with the protest. Kazakhstan's also former Soviet country, very energy rich, massive country on the border of Russia. That was formerly the Soviet Union. Very geopolitically well placed. Both Ukraine and Kazakhstan have a lot of similarities.
Yeah, and I saw an interesting theory this week that this could all be distraction for China coming in on Taiwan too. So that's something to keep an eye on. While all this talk about Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan's going on, like, watch China and what they're doing. Hong Kong, people have completely forgot about Hong Kong. Hong Kong, they took down the Tiananmen Square. It took down the Tiananmen Square statue in Hong Kong recently. Hong Kong's been completely taken over by China. There's no free press. There's no free markets. There's no freedom in Hong Kong anymore. And we got distracted by the COVID outbreak, and China conveniently used that distraction to take over Hong Kong. And I would be aware that they're also trying to do this to Taiwan as well. So keep your eyes peeled for
fucked.
that.
And I feel for Hong Kong.
We have a lot of Taiwanese freaks that don't like when you say that. They don't believe that.
Well, I hope for the best, but I don't think the U.S. will step in. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Do you think the U.S. will step in, Marty?
No, I don't think we should.
You don't think we should? That's a different question.
I don't think they will, and I don't think we should.
I don't think we will, and I think we should.
You think we should? You can't get in a hot war with China. I'm like done with wars. I'm done. It's been our whole life.
You know, I don't know. I mean, there's promises were made
To protect Taiwan.
Yeah.
Okay, if their promises were made, maybe we should protect them. Definitely arm them.
We are arming them.
Yeah.
But anyway, nothing's going to happen. I mean, nothing's going to happen from the U.S. side. The U.S. will not step in.
Well, the U.S. wants to become China. There's plenty of evidence that China, the CCP specifically, has infiltrated the United States in many ways. I mean, people forget about that. Harvard professor, he was a biologist, arrested by the FBI for giving secrets to China.
So China's at war with us, right?
Yeah, we're in the middle.
But you don't think we should fight them?
Well, I think Bitcoin's the best way to fight them. Like, we need America to adopt Bitcoin and completely, which is like the hard thing because you have to completely sever.
Like, where's the line?
That's a good point. I don't know. It's certainly not Uyghur slaves. We're comfortable with that. China's infiltrated, dude. They've infiltrated the NBA. I'm not okay with it.
That's above my line.
They've infiltrated. Yeah, it's above my line as well. They've infiltrated the NBA. They've infiltrated Hollywood. Infiltrated a lot of the capital allocation industry here in the United States. They're buying it. The CCP, via proxy, is buying a lot of land here in the United States. They're buying a lot of stock and company. They're infiltrated the university system. It's pretty pervasive. I mean, there was something too, like Texas A&M, I believe. right here in Texas. They had a shit ton of professors like, that were proven to be paid by the CCP to push propaganda and send state secrets or university secrets back to
They're
China.
at war with us. Russia's at war with us, and we pretend we're not at war with either of them. But they're both posturing, planning, executing against us consistently, and we are just pretending it doesn't exist.
Well, there's not. I mean, the United States government isn't, because they've been co-opted. I mean, our president, like, fucking. Nobody wants to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop, but that's what was on there. Proof that he was coordinating with members of the CCP to get the big guy some money, to get some. You would have to assume favors pushed through, or to get the big guy to look the other way when he's president of the United States. Very evident that with this whole Russia stuff too, the Biden family is very well connected with Ukrainian energy companies that have Russian influence as well. Like, it's all corrupt.
So would you, if Biden stepped in Ukraine, would you still believe that, or
I mean,
does that? I mean, I don't think you will, so it doesn't really matter. But would you still? Would you like? So you think Biden's in bed with Russia?
I mean, they're in bed with. I think so. I think they play all sides. I don't think they actually care. Like,
Okay.
they're in bed with China, Ukraine, probably Russia to some extent. It's all projection too. You know, that was the thing. They came after Trump, and again, I'm not some like Trump supporter. I always like great, but like, it's hilarious how you see the corporate media and the political class project like, oh, Russian bots, Trump's a Russian asset, he was getting peed on in a Russian hotel, all turned out to be fake. And what you really come to find is that the people screaming about all this are heavily influenced by Russia and China.
I will say that if you look at a top-down map of the world with Russia at the top, they're literally just completely surrounded by NATO countries, with the two big exclusions to that being Kazakhstan and Ukraine. So there are pretty massive geopolitical ramifications for that on both sides.
Disband NATO, disband the UN. Fucking,
You want to disband NATO?
yes. What do they
Is
provide
Russia
us?
an enemy of the United States or no?
I want peace on earth. I want free markets. I think we can get that
Okay.
if we just allow people to actually
Okay.
extract energy resources and use them. I don't.
So we just lay down our arms.
No, we don't lay down our arms.
Putin will just help us with peace on earth.
I don't think Putin's going to help us with peace on earth, but I think we create the free market facilities that allow people to ignore Putin, which Bitcoin helps with.
I agree with that, but we're not really at that.
Do you want a
spot.
kinetic war? Do you want to go to war? What does war mean these
No,
days?
I don't want to. Obviously, war fucking sucks, right? People die. I don't want to pay for a war. I don't, but at the same time, I think Russia and China are at war with us right now, and I think there's a nuanced conversation here. It's not.
Yes. And it's not a kinetic war. You have to win because if you get in a kinetic war, it's the end of the world. We all have nukes. Somebody's going to use it. And then the way nuclear game theory works, as soon as one person launches a nuke, the world becomes a nuclear wasteland.
I just think there was a pivotal point there in 2014 when Russia literally just sent their troops in, took Crimea back.
Before that, Georgia. Remember Georgia?
And they just didn't put the badge on their fucking shirt, and then they just said those aren't our troops, right? And you have this aging bureaucratic mess that is the U.S. government that just constantly attacks its own citizens, and then it's a paper tiger, right? It's not even they're not even. We have these external aggressors they aren't even doing anything.
Yeah, no,
they aren't even. There's no one. There's with all this talk and with like World War III and everything trending on Twitter, like no one in their right mind actually believes that the Biden administration, I think, actually believes the Biden administration will do anything aggressive.
No,
they will just stand the fuck by as everything fucking unfolds as is expected, right? And like part of the reason we're in this situation is because that is the expected outcome.
Agreed.
It's just like, the
Well-
Afghanistan war should have never fucking happened, but still.
Well, that's what's interesting about. I know people don't like me talking about Donald Trump because they don't like Donald Trump, but that's what's interesting about this: Russia and China working together, and Trump was trying very hard to get tough on China with the trade agreements and bringing things home, which is a way to win that Cold War that we're in right now. So, all right, you're gonna fuck with us, like we're gonna fuck with you. We're not gonna do trade deals with you anymore. We're not gonna open up our economy to you. We're not gonna allow you to do this. Ooh, we just lost Matt. They don't like us talking about this on TFTC. Where'd he go, Car? Is he gone?
Let me check.
Oh, wow. No, he's coming back in now. But people hate Trump, but that's what he was trying to do, was engage in this Cold War that we're in. And he got, coincidentally, we got a global pandemic was used politically against him. and here we are. We had the Biden administration with a president who some would call the big guy, who has done deals with China and Russia in the past. And yeah, I agree. They're just going to stand by. I think we did have somebody who was trying to get tough with China and Russia. Yuri Bezmenov. We're under a color revolution. I mean, this is why we have critical race theory. This is why this is part of this Cold War that we're in. They try to degrade our culture and have us die from the inside with all this infighting. That's part of the war that we're engaged in. And then they do all their things over there. It's a pretty sophisticated attack strategy that's been implemented over the course of decades. Like they attacked the university system. They attacked just our welfare system and the way our government works. They've successfully centralized power at the federal government level. It's pretty obvious. They've been successful. I was not expecting to get on this deep.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, like, it is an important topic. I just,
it is. People are going to call me some crazy conspiracy theorist. Just fucking look around.
I don't know.
Do you think we're under a color revolution right now?
That we're under what?
A color revolution in the United States?
No.
No? Why not?
You mean when you say that? So I cut out there for a little bit. When you say that, you mean like like a communist takeover?
They're tempted, yeah. Well, yeah. And how do they do that? How do they do it in Mao's China?
I don't think so. I think it's more fascist than anything. I think it's like a combination of.
It's all the same. It's all the same.
No, it's
somebody tried to call me out for that. It's like communism. Communism,
completely different.
Communism, when enacted, is a form of fascism. Like the communist
fascism,
government has to use the corporate structure to enact their strategies. Like
no, but in communism, the government actually owns the corporations.
Yeah. So what? There's no difference.
But the government doesn't own our corporations. In a lot of ways, our corporations own the government.
There's
a distinction there, and there's an oligarchy aspect to it as well. And I really think that, rich people and powerful corporations have an extreme amount of control in this society, and that's not going away anytime soon. So maybe people are attempting to do a communist revolution or a socialist revolution, but I don't think they'd be anywhere near successful.
I don't know, dude. I think they've been pretty successful at tearing apart the fabric of our society here in the United States. That's what you do. You like this, again, critical race theory, all this binary gender fluidity that is like part of what Mao and Lenin wanted to do to enact their communist ways. And actually, I'm blocked by him on Twitter, but James Lindsay had a really good dissection of this on a recent episode of Rogan, where you can just Mao and Lenin did something very similar, where you need to create another, you need to erode the cultural values of the society and implement new ones that are collectivist, and that is exactly what's happening. Maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe we're having a fascist corporate takeover, and that's the fight that we're embroiled in, is the fascist versus the communist versus us free. Maybe we're all dueling it out, and us freedom lovers.
Yeah, I mean, fuck the fascists and the communists.
Yeah, maybe those freedom.
Quite frank.
Yeah, maybe us freedom lovers are losing this battle. It seems that way, at least. Maybe that's the
Oh,
conclusion.
Well, we're winning because we have Bitcoin and open source tools and just tools in general that empower individuals.
Yeah.
And we have yeah.
I've got to get to Houston. I'm getting.
I love you, Marty. I love you, freaks. I love you, Car. Stay humble, stack sets.
Peace and love, all y'all.